Debashish, Claude, how are you doing today, Claude? Suresh, James, awesome. Let's get it started. So this is the week 10 of the Q&A series, and we're going to follow the same pattern, right? The first section, we'll do the Q&A. I'm going to ask you 20 questions, and we'll see the results. And we'll also see what's your progress, because you all are preparing for the examination now. So let's see how many of them you are able to answer correctly. That's going to be the first part. And then we're going to take a 5-minute short break. And then we'll start with the Q&A. Any questions that you might have related to the course, related to the examination, any other doubts that you're going to have, we can talk about those. Okay. I may sound a bit different because I have a very bad throat, apparently. So please pardon me for that. All right. So let's get it started. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen with you. Now let me know when you see something on the screen, please. I have shared my screen with you. Whenever you see this screen, use the chat box to let me know. Good morning, Adil. How are you today? Is the screen visible? Namet, Stavit is here. Good morning, Professor. Good morning, everyone. All is well? Fantastic. So the last time you also had some trouble with the weather, right? So you were under the weather last time. And now I'm running under the weather since ever now. Yeah, you were sick. I hope you're good now. Hey guys, am I visible? Do you guys see me? Yeah. Today I'm well. Alhamdulillah. Fantastic, guys. Let's get it started. Hey, tell me. So Garvin was in which one of your batches? I mean, so he was a part of your class. Garvin, you remember this name? He passed the PMP yesterday, just so you guys know. So the people from the IMC, a lot of these participants in the last 3 months only, Garvin is probably the 8th or the 9th participant who passed the PMP, right? So yeah, go to the LinkedIn if he's in your network and congratulate him. I just saw that in the morning. I felt really, really good about it. All right. So just like I said, on the first leg, we'll start with, okay, and let's see your responses to that. Here comes the question number 1. So the question is, halfway through your program, the corporate strategy shifts and deprioritizes your deliverable set. If you recall, I told you a case similar to that back during our classes. The PMO asks for your recommendations for tomorrow's portfolio board. What immediate defensible posture do you present? Read the options. And read the question again. It's a bit tricky. So halfway through the program, not the project, the program. What's the immediate answer? Immediate posture. So you cannot go alpha, can you? Recommend immediate termination. That doesn't work. Ivan. Recommend continuing unchanged since sunk cost is sufficient. We never know that, so can be the answer. Recommend a controlled pause for 30 days to reduce a quantified cost benefit comparison. and migration option for the board. But that's not an immediate action, right? That's like 30 days. I don't think Charlie is the answer. Or a lot of you are actually going Charlie, but I don't think that's the answer. Request double in the bar chart to finish faster before the alignment. Now, it's a defensible posture, I guess. So to me, the answer should be delta. Yours are Bravos and Charlies. Let's see the answer. Boom, the answer is delta. What's the explanation? The most defensible immediate posture is how did that happen? A short evidence-driven pass to the present trade-off option. What did I do? Did I change the options? I believe that should have been delta because that's the immediate one that you can take. And I wrote delta as the answer, but then, yeah, I messed up this question. All right, so how many of you said Charlie? How many of you said Charlie? I give that to you. I give that to you. All right, you got it. Question number 2. User acceptance tests reveals recurring critical defects that are traced to an architectural anti-pattern. The release lead suggests shipping with a documented workaround and fixing the post-launch to meet the revenue milestones. Ops warns SLA breach, the service level agreement breach, will follow. What should you do? What you should do? So read the question again. The UAT reveals there are critical defects. In the solution architecture. Good morning, Ashutosh. How are you today? She has goes, bravo. All the release mandate an architectural fix and retest until the critical defects are resolved. Okay. You think bravo is the answer? So the UAT is done, and that's when you found the defects. Okay. A lot of you are going bravo. The answer is bravo, actually. Hey, guys, I messed up these. I mean, maybe because when I was writing those. So the actual answer is bravo. You're right. So that's the bravo, right? So rather than here, focus on the explanation part, okay? Because I messed up the answers. I wrote the answers at the end, so I messed them up. Okay, because that's an architectural defect, you have to remediate that, correct? You have to first do that and validate before the general release. If it's a small pilot, is defensible with the strict rollback and clear the risk acceptance. Delta could be considered shipping broadly with the known critical defect, but that's a high risk. So I wouldn't go that. What's the safest option is Bravo. So anybody who said Bravo is the correct answer. Although Delta is a potential answer, just like Santosh said, Ashutosh said, it is a potential answer, but the Bravo is the safest. So I go with you. How many of you said bravo? Say I, please. If you said bravo was the answer. Yeah. So focus on the explanation part because I believe I messed up the answers here because I gave them at once at the end. So yeah. All right. Question number 3. In global design sessions, some regions use chat and written inputs heavily, but rarely speak. Decisions finalized in the meetings, and later those regions surface the objections, causing the rework. What immediate facilitation change reduces this risk? Okay, good question. So what do you think could be the answer? Hey, Jim, how are you today, buddy? Just saw you. How are you doing? You on? Abdul goes bravo. A lot of you goes bravo. Okay, tell me, what exactly is pre-read plus decision? I'm good. I'm good. Move. Okay. So, yes. So the answer is bravo. Okay. What the question is? The question is that they are chatting, they're chatting, they're, uh, doing the emails, but they're not speaking to each other. So it is better. Get it asynchronous, uh, asynchronous inputs by doing a pre-read, send them the documents early, right? Let them read that, then come to the meeting and reach to the decision. So I believe that's the better option. Anybody who said bravo can be a potential answer. So how many of you said bravo? Yes, a lot of you. All right. Comes the question number 4, ladies and gentlemen. Your ERP implementation, Savit is an expert of ERP implementations, by the way, meets heavy resistance. Users continue to use the spreadsheets, key controls are bypassed, and the auditors flag gaps, right? The auditors are telling you there are gaps. The program sponsor demands immediate results. What program level action will most effectively drive the adoption quickly? Can you by chance go Charlie, delay further deployment until the culture changes? Outsource the adoption to a third party change vendor without the internal engagement. Let's have all the answers in the exam at Bravo. That's not going to happen. Trust me. But I believe I messed up the answer. So what I do is I write the question separately, the answer separately, and then align them. And I'm stupid to do it. So I need to work on that strategy, right? Because the answers in this particular week, maybe I was too busy with the other things. So the answers are getting flipped. So yeah. What do you think? Bravo is the right answer here? Do you think Bravo is the answer? Let's see that. Okay. Bravo is sustainable, high impact approach. Mandatory penalties alone are blunt and make the backfire. So you cannot go alpha. So Bravo is the appropriate answer here. Okay. So yeah, anybody who said Bravo is the correct answer. Question number 5, ladies and gentlemen. 6 teams must coordinate for a major quarterly release. Integration defects are frequent and the release date is fixed. Which action will most quickly reduce the integration risk? I really messed up this question, sir. I can tell you that. I really messed it up. That's bad. That's bad. Well, let's understand the question. There are 6 teams, and they all need to coordinate for the quarterly release, right? Now, when it comes to putting the things together, we are getting a lot of these frequent errors, right? But the release date is fixed, so you cannot bypass, you cannot cross that date. Which action will most likely reduce the integration risk? Push the release out of how to avoid integration pressure. You cannot do that because that's fixed. So Charlie cannot be the answer. Let one team dedicate integration sequencing for all the rest of them. Can't happen. Okay. Enforce independent team deliveries and reconcile at release. Alpha is a potential answer, by the way. Alpha is a potential answer to this. You can reconcile everything at the end before you go for the release. But the most accurate answer should be Bravo, right? Why the Bravo is the right answer? Tell me. What did we talk about? The option Bravo. Why did you go Bravo? Build in the consensus, right? Build in the consensus. Consensus is a big word in project management. We talked about it during the classes. It's a big word. Okay. And guys, just give me 1 sec. Let me just see if I really messed up in this one. I'm going to pause for a minute. Stay with me. So you see the question number 5 on the screen. Is that what you see? Do you see only the question number 5? Because I believe I messed up. Yes, because this is what I messed up, Jim. So what I do is I write the questions separately, the responses separately, and then I merge them at the end. Because I cannot think of the explanation at the same time when I'm writing the questions. So I do them separately, and then I use the Excel's merge feature to merge them, right? So I got too confident on my Excel skills, apparently. And that's where the system messed up. That's why. Okay. Control. Okay, let me just check them really quick. That's the question number 6. Question number 7 is, yeah, stay with me. Okay. It looks fine for these 2-3 questions. Just give me 1 minute, okay? The rest looks fine, actually. There we go. Done. Another 30 seconds, please. Oh yeah, fixed it. It was that merge problem. Fixed it. So you were at the question number 5, is it? Yes, all right, let's continue now. So that took us 2 minutes, but the good thing is we fixed it. So I'm going to resume now. All right, we are live again. And while I pause the screen, were you able to see my webcam? Was that available? Yes. You could see me moving. Ah, you still saw the bad face? Yeah, okay. Okay, question number 6, ladies and gentlemen. Your project, your team suggests adaptation an unapproved open source test framework that promises 3x faster regression cycles, but hasn't been security vetted. The compliance group requires formal approval for tooling. How should you proceed? Okay, good question. Tell me. Yeah, Jimmy, why? Go Bravo, right? Expecting everything is going to be Bravo. Froze, how are you today, Froze? Do you think Charlie is the answer? You see, that's a very potential answer, actually. Just do a pilot and see if that's, that's as per the security parameters of the organization. So if that works, then, and if that fails, you can just simply roll that back, because that's just a pilot, non-sensitive module. So Charlie is a potential answer, actually. Okay, what's wrong with the Bravo? Tell me why you can't do the Bravo. And that's why you're running the pilot. You're running a pilot. Okay, I give it to you. The answer is Charlie, a controlled pilot with security variant and the rollback option balances innovation. Okay, why not Bravo? Because you see, what we learned in all of those classes, we learned analysis, action, right? So first you do the analysis on the pilot, and then you take an action. You want to roll it back, roll it back. You want to reject that, right? You don't want to go with this tool, don't go with this. But at least do the analysis first. So that's why the answer is Charlie. Question 7, ladies and gentlemen. At a midpoint review, the sponsor asks how you will ensure the business benefits are realized post go live. The ops lacks the KPI owners and the finance has no benefit tracking process. What should you do now? That's a rather easy question. I made the options pretty easy for this one. So what do you think you're going to do? You remember the benefit realization plan, the benefit management plan? What was the benefit management plan? It's a document which is established by the senior management that contains tangible and intangible benefits, the short-term and the long-term benefits, and the list of the benefit owners. It also talks about the risks, issues that we may have in order to achieve those benefits, right? So when you consider all of these things, and when you start sharing them, that brings the buy-in from the stakeholders, right? So what should be the answer? The answer is alpha, right? So anybody who said alpha is the right answer, get everybody on board, right? Discuss the things with them. That's rather an easy question. Question number 8. Your predictive project's critical path is Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, 6, 12, and 5. The task Bravo encounters a technical issue that adds 6 days. The deadline is firm and the sponsor refuses the extension. What action most likely reduces the critical path duration? Answer this. So the answer is either alpha or bravo, right? Now you have to choose between that. Should that be alpha? Should that be bravo? People who are going alpha, my question is why you are going with the crash and why not your fast track and between Bravo and Charlie? Yeah, but that's the whole point, Jim. That's the whole point that you break the legacy relationship. So I planned finish to start relationship. Now I'm running them in parallel in the start to start. Right? That's the whole point of the fast track. And okay. Now tell me, what activities contributes to the delay of the project? So the critical path activities, right? They delay. So the only possible way to get your schedule back is by doing those critical activities early. Now, why am I not going with the Bravo? Why am I not going with the fast tracking? Because the finish to start is a mandatory relationship. So if you see, Alpha has a finish to start with Bravo, Bravo has a finish to start with Charlie, right? That's the first line of the question. Now, if I break the relationship between Bravo and Charlie, still you cannot run them in parallel. For an example, let's put that into perspective. Brickwork and plaster. Now the plaster cannot start until unless the brickwork finishes. That's the finish to start, right? Now, even if I try to run them, but unless I have the brickwork in place, can you actually do the plaster in real life? Can you actually run them in parallel? You see, what activities could be run in parallel? Only those activities which doesn't have a mandatory dependency. For an example, when I say this room has 4 walls, right? So the wall one, this is what we planned. Me and Jimmy, we're gonna work on the wall one. Once that finishes, we're gonna go to the wall two, right? Now this is a finish to start, but it is by choice. It's a discretionary dependency. It's not a mandate. It is not that I cannot start the second wall unless the first wall is done. I planned it this way because I had limited resources, correct? So it's a discretionary dependency. Whereas when you say the brickwork and plaster, they are a mandatory dependency, right? You cannot start the plaster unless you have the brickwork. So we don't know, looking at these activities, we don't know if that's the discretionary or the mandatory. Exam tip, whenever you are not able to figure out by reading the question if that's a mandatory or a discretionary, always go with the mandatory dependency. Always go with that. So the correct answer is to crash. In this question, you mentioned the dependency could be overlapped with fast track. What is this? Your predictive project critical path is this. Test Bravo encounters a technical issue and at 6 days, the deadline is firm. What action most directly reduces the critical path duration? Where it says that the activities could be overlapped. Where it says that. Jim? Okay, during the explanation, I was asking you that if you can overlap between Bravo and Charlie, would you go with that option or would you go with the crashing? That was a question actually. Anybody who said Bravo, why you said Bravo? I was trying to know that why you want to go with the fast tracking. And then I continued. I said, tell me what activities actually delays the project, the critical path activities, right? So when you can, crash them, only then you'll be able to pull the schedule back. So correct answer, Alpha. Question number 9. Your agile team repeatedly misses the sprint commitments. Retrospectives output show that the estimation techniques are inconsistent and work is not broken down to small increments. What should you implement first? Now, these are very dangerous questions, which says first, immediate, last, next, okay, to improve the predictability. What's wrong with Delta? What's wrong with Delta? Why you don't wish to go with Delta? Tell me. Namit goes Bravo. At a fixed budget to every spin to absorb the spill. A potential answer, actually. Potential answer. So if you have this thumb rule that the longest answer will be the right answer, it's not always true. I can tell you that. I mean, if this is what you're looking at, that if it is a long answer, that has to be the right answer, that's not always true. Yes, Jim. Thank you for saying this, my brother. That's why not Delta. And the second thing is, then it changes everything. It changes your release, it changes your sprints, it changes the items from the backlog, that how many items we want to accommodate. It impacts a lot of other factors as well, right? All right, so what's the answer? The answer is alpha, right? This is what you need to do. You need to impose a maximum story point size. Now, you remember the velocity? What was velocity? Remind me. Anybody? We talked about velocity, right? During the classes. What's velocity? And delta also does not talk about how to rectify it in such scenarios. Is that a question? It doesn't talk about how to rectify. Rectify what? No, it doesn't. That's why we're not going delta. And moreover, the whole idea is to deliver the value quickly. So why you want to increase? That comes with a lot of those repercussions as well. In terms of your release planning, in terms of those milestone dates. There are many factors that will also come in, Vijay. All right. Next up, I meant answer gives how to deal with it. Okay. With a product 90% ready, a regulatory bulletin tightens the encryption standards for a set of transactions your product handles. The security says remediation will take 2 weeks, while marketing demands go live to meet the major campaign dates. What do you do first? Now you should look for a new job. That is what you should do. You should definitely look for a new job now. Your product is 90% ready. And then a new regulatory bulletin came up. You see, what is the most practical approach? I'm not talking about, so I'm not talking about the PMP examination. What a project manager generally do in that situation, if you go honest, what's the honest answer? Tell me. You know what we generally do, Namit? We go alpha. And I know at least 5 cases. I know at least 5 cases in which I did it, right? In historical projects that I've been doing. It's the wrong practice. I understand that. But at times, the marketing and the sales, those are very important stakeholders, right? So they're going to put you under so much of that stress, right? That at times it becomes impossible to resist. But we make sure that these patches are installed so we do not back off from, we don't back off from our responsibilities. I make sure that all of these patches are in place, right? But here, what should be the right answer? The right answer should be bravo. You need to update the risk register and convene a legal security in the product for an urgent impact assessment to present go, no go options to the governance. And if you get a go or no go, then you proceed with the alpha. Okay. So immediate action is, what do you do first is bravo. Why? Because that is where the analysis comes into the picture. Question number 11. A critical vendor repeatedly misses the API delivery milestones. The business threatens to terminate the contract, but the vendor holds technical knowledge crucial to the integration. What is the best immediate action to restore delivery predictability? Easy question, right? If you look at the options, Vinod goes bravo, apply contract penalties and demand faster delivery. We know the project manager can never straight away penalize. You need to facilitate, analyze, and then take an action. And plans to Charlie. Yes. The right answer is Charlie. Do that summit, get the people together, get an agreement, buy-in, consensus, right? And then you move ahead. Question number 12, ladies and gentlemen. During the sprint number 4, the product owner proposes a change to the acceptance criteria for a committed story after development completed, but before the release. So it's not released. The product is not released yet. Developer says that the change will introduce defects, and the product owner argues stakeholders demand it. What should you do? Now you should definitely look for a new job. Definitely. That's the 4th sprint. So why you cannot freeze the acceptance criteria? What's wrong with Bravo here? Because of the agility, yes. Rejection without analysis. First understand and with analysis needs to absolutely. But who's the owner of the backlog at the end of the day? Tell me. Who's the owner of the backlog? The product owner? Do we all agree on that? The deal? Then why you did not go Charlie? Why did not go Charlie then? This guy represents the customer. But the product owner knows there would be, my developer is saying change will introduce defects. The product owner knows that. But the product owner argues the stakeholders demand it. Namit? All right. The answer is actually alpha. You need to, yes, the analysis. That's the point. That's the whole point. Question number 13. A competitor launched a near copy of a key feature 2 months earlier than planned. The board wants you to beat them to market and instructs compressing the release schedule by 1 month. Your QA and regulatory window are tight, and the teams are at sustainable capacity. Which immediate option best balances speed and the risk both? Who remembers what was an MVP? Remind me, what was an MVP? I know the name. I know it is minimum viable. What is it? Why do you run the MVP? What's the whole point? There were 2 different reasons as to why somebody would run the MVP. So the definition of the MVP was an investment for discovery, right? And we said that's the minimum set of features that makes a product functional for the customer. Correct? What are the uses of it? It ignites the initial interest of the customer, and 2, to take a feedback. Correct? These are the 2 different reasons as to why you can run the MVPs. Now, the problem is that the competitor is up in the market with a near copy of your feature. How would you beat him? Just go with the minimum functionalities. Okay, let's see this. Delivering a focused MVP of the highest value capabilities preserves the compliances and the test integrity while achieving the earlier market presence. Cutting the tests or forced overtime risks the quality and the team burnout. That's why the right answer is to go with the Charlie. Okay, that's what it is. Question number 14, a client asks mid-project in predictive contracts. Okay, it specifically mentions predictive to add reporting and analytics that will increase the schedule by 6 weeks. Your baseline is locked and the PMO requires all the scope changes go through the formal controls. The client insists it's essential for the compliances. What is the next correct administrative step? We kept talking about these points throughout our course. At least 10 times we discussed that point. The moment you have a change request because of any reason whatsoever, that reminds you something? Where it should go? The moment you have a change because of any reason whatsoever, be it administrative reasons, be it securities, be it quality, be it whatever, it goes through the ICC process, Perform Integrated Change Control process. It's a predictive contract, correct? The question is mentioning it's a predictive contract. So the answer has to be Bravo. Question number 15. Your distributed delivery teams show a worrying pattern. Several senior members stop attending retrospectives and offer limited participation in ceremonies. The Scrum Masters report fail in collaboration and defect rates are climbing. Some members cite the burnout and unclear leadership may be the reason behind all of that. What do you do first? Okay. When we were talking about communication, we talked about 4 different types of communications. Formal verbal, formal written, informal verbal, informal written. So when you have a situation, a challenge in the project, where do you start? What sort of a communication that you start off with? Say, let's just put that into perspective. Let us say Shreyas is one of my team members, right? He's not performing well. The management complaint, it's been last 2 meetings that the management said, hey, Sachin, you need to do something about the performance of Shreyas. His performance is going down. What's the first thing that I'm going to do? Informal verbal, right? Informal verbal. So that's what Charlie talks about to identify the root cause. Maybe Shreyas is going through something as well. I need to understand that first before I take an action. So, yep, that's why the Charlie, understand before acting. That's what you need to do. Question number 16, ladies and gentlemen. At month 4 of an 8-month $1 million project, the project you report earned value is 300,000, actual cost is 400,000, the planned value 350,000. The CFO asks whether you will finish within the budget and wants a forecasted EAC. Remember the EAC, the estimated completion at the current rate, at the current cost performance index. Compute the CPI and EAC, then state the implications. So if the actual cost is 400,000, the earned value is 300,000, what's your CPI? Tell me. The formula is earned value divided by the actual cost. Correct? So 300,000 divided by 400,000, 0.75. There is only one option which says 0.75 here. There is only one option which says 0.75. Correct? So the moment you have the CPI 0.75, you know this is going to be over budgeted because that's less than 1. Your cost performance index is less than 1. Correct? You don't actually have to calculate the EAC, but you can do it. So now you can do BAC divided by the CPI. So the BAC is $1 million divided by 0.75, right? So that's how you can do that, but you don't essentially have to do it. The moment you see 0.75, now, you know what I should have done here? When I say CPI, this is like Charlie. When I say the CPI is 0.85, if I would have done that as 0.75 as well, then it's going to be a bit tricky, right? Because then you have to calculate the other factors as well. In the next week, I'm going to do that. In next week class, I'll have all the CPIs at 0.75. And then I'll ask you the same question, exactly the same question, but with all the CPIs as the same. Okay? For now, I actually made it easy for you. The moment you calculate the CPI, you know the right answer. Correct? Okay. Question number 17. Midway through a predictive enterprise transformation, a board member demands an executive analytics dashboard to be added before the go live to present to the board. Engineering says it will require rework the ETL and cause at least a 4 weeks delay. Product suggests delivering a read-only mock dashboard for the board presentation. The sponsor asks you to make it happen. What you gonna do? And these are the real situations that actually happens during the projects. I've been through these situations. Can we actually go Bravo? Do you actually want to go Bravo with only a read-only dashboard? Is it possible? Okay, you actually can. You see, it is just to show a sample of how the dashboard would look like. Maybe with some dummy data as well. You can show that just to give a feeler of it. And then you add that to the ETL, right? Estimate to launch, ETL, just so you guys know. ETL means estimate to launch. Okay. All right. I give it to you. Bravo is the answer. Question number 18. You're 2 weeks from launching a consumer finance app across 3 different regions. One country introduced urgent data residency rules that requires local hosting of the transaction logs. Your architecture currently centralizes those logs. Marketing insists on a simultaneous global launch to maximize the PR impact. Legal warns of severe fines and possible local takedowns if you don't comply. The CIO asks for your recommendations now. What you going to recommend? I'll tell you, Bravo and Charlie, both the potential answers. I can tell you that. Bravo can be a very potential answer. Trust me. Okay. You see, you actually may need to go Bravo. But why? Why the only reason that you're not going Bravo? Tell me. Eventually, you may need to go ahead with Bravo. Why you're not doing it right now? Not the first action. Stop it. Yes. So after the analysis, if this is one of the options, you see delay, pause the launch, technical mitigation. So pause in the launch for that particular country is what Bravo is, correct? But you're going to do that only once you're done with the analysis. And out of these options, you build the consensus, you choose one of these. We want to delay it, we want to pause that, we want to do the technical mitigations. So build the consensus with the team and the CIO and then proceed with the action. So the immediate next action, the immediate step is Charlie, correct? All righty, good question. This was question number 19. A tier one supplier tells you their factory will be shut down for an unplanned compliance inspection for approximately 6 weeks, affecting a critical component on your program. The risk was previously captured as a medium with no contingency reserve allocated because of the component lead consumed vendor reliability, assumed vendor reliability. Marketing has begun. The pre-sales and the cancellation penalties for the customers will kick in if you miss the delivery dates. The steering committee requests a recovery plan in 48 hours. What are the options that you have? He's a tier one supplier, by the way, and he'll not work for the next 6 weeks. Why not Charlie? Why can't you sit and negotiate with the supplier for expedited post-inspection priority at any cost? You take his commitment. Then okay, you are delayed, but then once you come back, this is what you have to do. Post the launch. But then you have to present the results in 48 hours in the next 2 days to the steering committee. So you might not have that much of time in your hand. Okay. The answer is bravo. You do an assessment, right, first, and then you see whatever action, alternative suppliers, design the workarounds, schedule adjustments, trade-offs, whatever that you need to do. You do it later. Yep. Last question, ladies and gentlemen. Your organization is migrating three major services from an on-premise data center to a hybrid cloud model. Two technical leads proposed different migration strategies. Lead Alpha proposed a phased strangler migration, so migrate pieces incrementally, keep the old and the new running concurrently. That preserves the availability but increases the short-term operational complexity. Lead Bravo advocates a cut-over migration over a single weekend that reduces prolonged dual-run cost but carries a high risk of customer impact and outages if anything goes wrong. The CFO is anxious about dual-run cost, and the CTO is anxious about any perceived production outage. You must prepare a recommendation for the executive steering committee call tomorrow, which is happening tomorrow. What would you suggest? Cut over or the concurrent? What are you going to suggest? Why not Bravo? Tell me why not Bravo? And moreover, why you cannot escalate this to the CTOs and the CFOs? Escalating the risk is a strategy, right? When there are those risks which are beyond your authorities, you escalate those risks to the level above so that they could take an action. Then what's wrong with the delta? I'll tell you what's wrong. You cannot say that in front of the steering committee, can you? And Bravo is not having a rollback plan in case, and yes, absolutely. The outage, and there may be outage because that's a cutover, right? So you stop everything, you do the implementation of the new modules, and then you go live, right? So this is the blackout go live, the special intervals that we talked about the other day during the scheduling. Okay, I'm going to go with the strangler approach. Why? Because you see, there are some legacy systems which are running on the previous, approach. Strangler means like this, right? So while the previous is also running, the legacy features are running. At the same time, we are concurrently implementing the new features, right? So that will make sure that there is no outage. People who are using those features, they are still able to use those features. And then maybe after a certain date, when this transition is done, I can always go back to the customer and say, hey, Mr. Customer, I don't know if you noticed that, but there are new features now. This is what WhatsApp does. WhatsApp, they don't go cut and then release, right? They go concurrent. So you keep on using the WhatsApp features while these are adding the feature, the Meta is still adding those features at the back end, correct? And you don't realize even the next day when you open the WhatsApp, it's updated. So that is called the triangular approach. So the answer is alpha. All right, so these were the questions. Tell me your scores. How many right answers that you gave? Afro's got 18 correct answers. Oh, that's good. 17. Stavit got on all 20. Jesus. 14. Shreya's got 20. Oh, Debashi's got 20. Fantastic. 15. 19. 18. Claude. Abdul got 14. And these are good scores. 15. So Fatima got all 20 correct. Suresh got 18. Okay. The deal? What's the deal score? John got 17. And Namit got 11. How did that happen, buddy? Namit? Mine is 19. Okay, awesome. But a few of you got all 20 correct. Professor, can we plan this meeting from 11:30 a.m.? Which time? India time? UAE time? But then I have another batch starting at 2 in the afternoon. How would I do it? The data center migration as well. When you migrate, okay, let's take it like this. So if you migrate in your data center from, say, from one set of servers to the other set of servers, right? Because the new data center has more features in terms of securities, encryptions, all of those things. So still, you don't want to lose the previous. So when you go for the cutover, right, your previous data center is not working. That will be outage for a lot of customers. Let us say it's a critical data center. I mean, I'm just saying, say a bank's data server. Can you keep it off for 48 hours? I don't think that's a good idea. I'm taking this meeting on the wheels every single time. What do you do on a Sunday at 11? Where are you going? Do you keep driving? Ashutosh. All right. So that was the first part, ladies and gentlemen. Let's take a break now. So it is 12:10. It's been 1 hour and 10 minutes since we started. So we'll take a break. We'll come back, and then I'm going to take your questions. My daughter's class at that time. Yeah. And how young is your daughter? Is she like a teenager, Ashutosh? 8 years? You know how blessed you are. I have an 8 year. You are enjoying your life, my brother. I can tell you that. Yeah. I'm running an exchange offer. Anybody is interested, I can give my two sons in exchange of one daughter. Okay. If anyone is willing for that exchange, one is 20, the other one is 15. These are my two kids. I can give both of them devils, right? In exchange of one angel. Anyone who's interested, ping me. Okay. Shitesh, I envy you, my brother. I envy you. All men says that. I have two now. You have two daughters? You're blessed. All right. So that was good. Okay, let's take a break, guys. Let's take a break. We'll just take a break and we'll come back and continue with the next part. So the timer. Oh, come on, why it is not working? Okay. I shall see you in 10 minutes. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, are we all back after the break? Give me a quick roll call, please. Okay, we're going to start with the second part of the session. Now that's the time when you can ask me the questions and I'll answer those, right? So you can use the chat box to ask the questions. Anybody? Professor, I've been doing some simulations and would like to get your insights on some questions. I took screenshots. That's okay, but then I have to stop the, I have to pause the recordings before I could pull that out. Maria, you can do that. You can paste the question that you have on the chat. All right, let's see this one. And the rest of you can simply click on Jim's question to blow that full screen on your screen. And you can read that. I'm trying to read it here. Project team members are spending a lot of time helping maintenance and the operational staff with a recently commissioned project component. The project manager needs to validate that the component was signed off and the ownership is transferred. Which three documents should the project manager use for this decision? All right, so what's the question here? What's your question? Jimmy? That what should be the right answer? So the transfer of liabilities and the validation of the sign off. Okay, so two things, sign off documents and the liability document. So final report, organizational process assets update and procurement agreement. All right, the procurement agreement, project documents update and the organizational process assets update. Procurement agreement, stakeholder engagement plan and the organization. No, Charlie is not the answer, I can tell you that. Final report, project documents update and the OPA updates. Either alpha or delta. Now the validation of the sign off and ownership, right? The sign off is definitely the final report. And we actually don't need the procurement agreements. No, we may actually. So I'm going to go with either alpha or delta. Ownership transfer is a project. I'm going to go delta. I'll go delta. What's the correct answer, Jimmy? There was a confusion between alpha and delta, but delta, why delta? You tell me. Why did I go delta? Because you see, the validation of the sign off is the final report, definitely. Okay. And the transfer of liability, for that, you need to update all of those project documents and transfer those liabilities, take a sign off on that. So that's why the project documents. So yes, delta should be the answer. Good question, Jimmy. Okay, anybody else? Who has a question? Hey, Johan, when are you writing the exam, girl? Hey, Hadil, did you book the exam yet? Hadil? Jim, I guess, booked the exam. Yes, Jim? How do I get better with my timing? Okay, you see, what you need to practice, I'll take it in 2 weeks. Okay, what you need to practice is, I'll tell you. So you have 230 minutes in total, right? Now you have three different sets of 60 questions, 60 questions, and 60 questions, correct? Target to finish the first set in the first 70 minutes. Okay? Try and submit those 60 questions in the first 70 minutes. Then you take a 10 minutes break, which is optional, but you take it. Second set should also take 70 minutes. All right? Now that makes it 140 out of 230. So you are remaining for the third set, you have 90 minutes. Why am I keeping 90 minutes for the last session? Because you see, by this time your brain is tired and you start reading, comprehending slow. So you may need more time to submit the last set. You target this. So when you're practicing the simulations, and do not go with the watch that runs on the screen, but because that runs in reverse, right? Starts with 230 and comes to 0. Match your watch. You are allowed to wear an analog watch. Okay, nobody stops you from that. You cannot wear the digital watch, but the analog you can. Okay, so take your best watch out, maybe a Rolex or something, whatever you have, right? Match the time when you start the exam, match it with your watch. Okay, and then target as per your watch, 70 minutes. First set needs to be submitted. And how would you do that? I'll tell you a trick. You see, for the first 10, 15 questions that you're going to answer in the real exam, you will feel that they were all the wrong answers that you have given. That's very natural. Okay. That's very, very natural. But do not mark many of them for the review. I have seen what the participant will do. They're going to mark a lot of questions for the review. They're not sure about a question. They're going to mark for review. They're going to go to the next question. Now, before you submit, the PMI would want you to review all of those questions that you have marked and then submit. Now that takes double the time. So first I read those 10 questions, I marked the answers, and then I marked them for review. So then I'm again reading those 10 questions. Make sure that you should not have more than 5 questions marked for review in any of these sets. Just mark only those questions that you really, really have a doubt about. Because trust you me, it feels as if the first 5 questions that you answered were all wrong, but they are not wrong actually. It is just the nerves who are playing the tricks on you at that point of time. So gradually, you'll start getting into a rhythm, right? So do not mark many questions for the review. And target 70, 70, 90. Target this strategy. To whoever participant I told this strategy, it really helped them. I'm struggling the other way. I start slow, not sure why. Take me longer to review each question. Then I find my pace, finish with a good time on the last question. But this is what you have to practice. Starting slow is not a problem. For the first 5 questions, if you're slow, not a problem. Rest of the 55 questions, by the time you cross the 5th question, you should reach that pace. Okay. And this is what you need to practice. It is tough, I'm telling you, to answer 180 questions in 230 minutes. That's not easy. I get it. But that is why you have to do the practice. 230 minutes including the breaks? No, excluding the breaks. The breaks are additional 20 minutes that you get. So after the first set, you're going to get 10 minutes here. After the second set, you're going to get 10 minutes here. Take those breaks. Come on. Is there any bank of the questions practiced here? Please, as I have joined late. Okay. Uh, I can share this presentation with you guys. So you can always go back and check that later. I can do that. I can share this. Because I don't have a separate question bank as such. I make fresh questions every week, right? And this time I messed up in the first 2, 3 questions in terms of answers. My compilation went bad, but then I corrected that. What is the level of difficulty will there be in PMP exam? Will it be like the mock test or will it be like simulation exam? I believe, okay, how many simulation exams that you see on the LMS right now? 3 of those, Ram? Yes. So in all 3 of those, because I made 2 of these, right? The second and the third one, I made this. I'm working on the 4th one now. So by the end of this month, you're going to have the 4th one as well getting uploaded. Now, if you can pass all 3 of them with around 75, 80%, that's your guarantee to pass the real exam. 70% on the simulation. I still need to practice. 70% is not bad. The simulation exams, yes. So you have 3 simulations, right? If you're scoring 75 to 80% in those, you will definitely pass the exam. I saw it's shared something. I need to pass the card in here. It's coming up. Mock test 1, mock test 2, mock. Yep. So I'm talking about the simulation 1, simulation 2, simulation 3. Thank you. We'll book the exam this week, Prof. Fantastic. For the PMP application, the role on the project is the same. So the project description is typically the same. Do we have to change? You can re-paraphrase that, essentially saying the same thing and focus on the work that you have performed, Claude. You may just re-paraphrase the same thing because mostly you're going to be doing this similar job, which is fine. The PMI also understands that, right? So it should be fine. Yeah, I know. I get it. That's very common. A predictive methodology project is a predictive methodology project. You have to follow the same sequence, right? But just try and focus on the work that you have done. Yes, Pawit, this is what I'm saying. Try and score 75% and above in the simulation. Although to unlock your certificate, you only need to score about 50%. Don't go with that. If you're scoring 75% above, literally the guarantee that you're going to pass the exam. All right. Any other question? After in the simulation part, the simulation exam, after completing the mock, yes, do the mock first, then go for the simulation. Sir, I would like to book and register for the PMP. You can do it yourself. Yes, go to the pmi.org, get yourself registered, make an account, right? Buy the membership, which is $129. I actually told you all of that on the last day of the training. And then file the application, right? Now you may want to get it reviewed once. Now for that, you may take the relationship manager's help and just ping me on the WhatsApp, just ping me the name of the relationship manager. I'll get in touch with him or her, and I'll tell them to get in touch with you and help you. Abdul. How many situational questions are expected in the PMP? All situational. All the questions are scenario-based questions. All of them. It's never a straightforward question. It's like, if you're doing this process, what's the tool that you're going to use? It's not going to be like this. It's always going to be a situation, a real project situation. You need to read and understand that situation and then answer the question. It's all about the mindset, right? Okay, I'll give you a trick. Whenever you read the question, read it as a servant leader and not as a project manager. If you follow this trick, you'll be able to answer many questions in the exam. Think about what a servant leader will do in this situation, not what the project manager will do in this situation. Because the project manager tend to go more towards the processes. And the servant leader is more about putting the team first, thinking about their priorities, giving them the autonomy, right? Thinking about their well-being, training them, coaching, mentoring them. So read from that perspective. That would really help you to answer the real questions in the examination. Sample application filled form for the PMP. I have given a few of those samples already to the team. Please get in touch with your counselor. They can share those samples with you. I already gave them. Any other question, ladies and gentlemen? Just this one question here. I thought the answer would be 31, but didn't find the option on the, okay, let's read this. Guys, there's a question on the chat window. You can blow that full screen on your screen. And I'm going to do it here because I have to pass the recording first. A project manager is uncertain about the duration for developing a new product and consults several groups of the SMEs. The first group suggested that the development will be completed in 29 days. The second group identifies the potential risks that could extend the duration to 46 days. And the third group proposed a new development method that could shorten the time to 18 days. What is the estimated development duration? Pessimistic plus optimistic plus most likely divided by 3. It's a triangular distribution, right? Do that for me. Hey guys, do the maths. 29 plus 46 plus 18 divided by 3. How much do you get? Let's do it. Uh-oh. Where's the calculator? That's 29 plus 46 plus 18 divided by 3. What's wrong with me? What did I do? I did something wrong. Give me 1 sec. Yeah, the answer should be 31. Okay, let's do the delta distribution here. What is pessimistic? 46 plus the optimistic is 18 plus 4 into most likely, which is 29. Now that turns out to be, but that should be a triangular distribution. What is going the beta distribution? (116) plus 46 plus. Yep, we've got the answer 30. We've got the answer, but they are going with the beta distribution. Although for the most likely you needed to have more samples. But then, yeah, I mean, you know why it is 30, Jim? Because generally, by default formula for the beta distribution, for the port analysis is the beta distribution, right? So maybe because of that reason, they're going with 30. So the beta says 30, the triangular says 31. So yeah, it could be 30 actually. When do we do that? Yes, good question. Just like I said, Claude, the by default formula for the port analysis is the beta distribution. Now, only when the question asks you to calculate the delta, only in those cases you go triangular, okay? Otherwise, you by default goes Bravo, the beta. So as per the beta distribution, that's the right answer. 30 is the right answer. How do you got 30? You tell me. So 29 multiplied by 4 plus 46 plus 18 divided by 6. That's how. 29 is the most likely. Yes, Tawit. The pessimistic is 46, optimistic is 18. So pessimistic plus optimistic plus 4 into most likely divided by 6, 30. That's how. This is what I was explaining to Claude. That by default formula is always the beta distribution, unless the question asks you to calculate the delta. Just simply go with the beta distribution formula by default. If the question wants you to calculate the delta, then only you go delta. Any other question, ladies and gentlemen? No problem, Jim. All the best for the exam. So you have the exam in 2 weeks, right? Next week, we do not have the Q&A. We have it the next to next week. So by the time you are already writing the exam, is it, Jim? After that, all right. So you can attend the next one at least. Yeah. I'm going to ask the team to share those links and you can get yourself registered for the next to next week's Q&A. Okay. If you have any further questions, please ask now. Anyone? Okay. Shall we wrap it up then? If there is no further question. What's the difference between, okay, Namit has a question, mock and simulation. The mock test may be limited to 50 questions, 60 questions, 100 questions. And the simulation is all the 180 questions with the clock running. It is the simulation of the real examination, right? That's the only difference. They both have questions. But are they timed questions? Ram? No, that's the difference. Are they timed? Then I need to go back and check with the team that what difference they think. Okay. Then they all are simulations then. Why do you call them the mock then? I need to check. Oh, sorry. But suggest the correct answer if you, okay. So right there, it suggests you the answer, right? Okay. Whereas in simulation, it doesn't. No, sir, I'm not in any of your groups. So how I get the presentation, please? Ah, I can give you the presentation right now, Nisa. You want it right now? I can upload that on the chat window. You can get it. Let me just go ahead and do that. Yeah. There we go. Give me one sec. That's the one. Upload it on the chat window, ladies and gentlemen. Now, since I had to close my presentation to share it, I need to reopen that. Stay with me. There we go. For the PDU, so what must be completed? Simulation test. You must complete the simulation test. Yes. Are we good to close for today? Yeah. Let's plan another one in a couple of weeks. So next week, I have prior commitment, so I'll not be able to do the Q&A. But the next week, definitely, I'm planning one. You'll get the link and you can join. Okay. I hope these things are working and they are helping you in your exam preparation. This is the 10th week that we did that. And yep, let's close it for today. I shall see you in the next one now. And then I've got a class 2 to 6. Anybody who's in that class, I'll see you in just an hour. Thank you. Bye-bye. Can we get week 1 to week 8? Oh, I shared those with the team, right? So they must have shared those on your WhatsApp group, Suresh. I'll check with them. I already gave them all the previous Q&As. They'll share that with you. Okay. Okay, I'll tell them. I'll tell them. No problem. I'll tell them to share. Thank you, guys. Yes, yeah, I'll do it. I shall see you in the next Q&A now. Have a wonderful, wonderful time ahead. Prepare well and write the exam. All the best. Bye-bye.